Scott Jennings roasts late night comedians. He said at some point people might expect it to be funny. That's true. Have been saying, how long have I been saying that the Democrat Party is unfunny? They people try to tune in for comedy, like these late night shows and stuff like that, and and they're actually just propagandists from the Democrat Party. They don't really tell any jokes. They just bash Trump, bash Republicans, and bash conservatives the entire time. How is that even funny? At least Bill Maher slaps in. He puts in some jokes every now and again in his commentary, his late night show. So I will give credit to that. But aside from Bill Maher, the rest of these people are unfunny. So we're gonna talk a little bit about it. We're gonna play the clip from Scott Jennings. But before we get started, go ahead and hit that like button. Share this out so we can get this information out there. Subscribe if you're not already a subscriber. And hit that alarm bell so you know when I'm putting out new stuff. Also, check out my link tree in the description. It has a link to my Patreon. That's where I talk about things that I can't talk about here. There's also a link to my Instagram and my X account. So follow me there as well. All right, so let's talk about this news. Now, this comes from the Daily Wire from Virginia Kruta. And she reports that CNN Republican commentator Scott Jennings, and thank God for him, a level head on CNN finally. But Scott Jennings roasted late night comedians for their obvious dissent, fueled by President-elect Donald Trump's landslide victory on Tuesday, into naked Democratic activism, arguing that, quote, at some point people might expect it to be funny. Jennings ripped into the comedians, name-dropping Jimmy Kimmel, who was brought to tears after Trump won. Grown-ass man crying on TV, and argued that they were alienating half the country by telling them that only the Trump-hating people in their audience really mattered. And mind you, this is Jimmy Kimmel, who was on the Man Show, who used to do some disgusting things, and and they let this man get away with this stuff because he's a leftist Democrat. But anyway, let's get to this clip here from CNN. Here we go.
Notice these people have become pathetic. I mean, they stopped being comedians and they started becoming political activists. I mean, Jimmy Kimmel out here crying. I mean, it's pathetic. And so my question is, if you're going to have a late night comedy show, at some point people might expect it to be funny and not just a constant political screed against one party. And I don't know that this activism for 4 more years is sustainable if you're going to market something as comedy, but the actual product is nothing more than sort of lowbrow political activism.
Facts. Oh, that's so true. And Jennings noted that liberal comedian and HBO host Bill Maher, who has repeatedly swiped at his own side for going too far with regard to gender surgeries, COVID lockdowns, and more, seemed to understand that going all in on activism instead of comedy, and in the process potentially alienating half the country, was not the wisest course of action. Again, I can't, even though I'm like a total opposite of Bill Maher. I do like Bill Maher. I think Bill Maher is kind of funny in his stuff, even though I don't really agree with any of his ideology. But he goes on to say, quote, the rest of these people have become pathetic. I mean, they stopped being comedians and they started becoming political activists. I mean, Jimmy Kimmel out here crying. I mean, it's pathetic, Jennings said. And so my question is, if you're going to have a late night comedy show, at some point people might expect it to be funny and not just a constant political screed against one party. And I don't know that this activism for 4 more years is sustainable. And it's not. He goes on to say, if you're going to market something as comedy, but the actual product is nothing more than sort of a lowbrow political activism, I agree. He goes on to say, these people represent the way a lot of people feel, so I'd actually be interested if the Trump folks could actually make us feel like we're not going to take away your rights, and that doesn't make sense. You think it doesn't make sense. A lot of people actually think that it makes sense. That's the way a lot of people feel, Tory protested. He goes on to say, that is their audience, CNN host Abby Phillips said. Is that their mission, to be activists and not comedians, Jennings pressed? Great question. And he goes on to say, well, sometimes the comedian does stop telling jokes and says serious things, Tory replied. Jennings pushed on, adding, during the Biden years, there was nobody who provided more comedy fodder possible than Joe Biden. That's facts, and they stayed away from that comedy gold mine. That was enough for the rest of the panel, who all began protesting at once that Biden had been on the receiving end of plenty of criticism and mockery. Yeah, right. Not like they do against conservatives. But y'all let me know what y'all think about this. Leave your comments down below. Like, share, and subscribe, and check out jjthepsychotherapist.com for the latest in news. Until next time, peace.